Hello, Ian Forrest here again. In my previous videos, I have concentrated on setting the practical background of what faces us when we try to get justice within the UK judicial system, particularly directed towards litigation for redress and restitution, which forms by far the largest proportion of disputes. Of course, such a system should give easy, fair, speedy and affordable access for resolution. Alas, no. Even worse, there is an unseen iron ceiling of injustice and manipulation which yields quite the opposite. That is, unless you are one of the chosen few. I will come back to them in a few minutes. So for this video and onwards, I will start to provide you with more detail, experience and facts which are quite alarming. I am going to begin with us imagining, as an individual or small organisation, that we wish to bring a rightful claim against an opponent who has done wrong and caused damage. Let me start here by saying that an overwhelming tenet of justice must be equality, not least equality of arms before the law. So let us see how we get on. Increasingly, of course, very few ordinary people can afford the incredible legal fees, especially when payment thereof is open-ended. So the first port of call for a litigant in person are the law courts, the civil courts. Now all such courts must be open to the public by law. Sorry, but one is faced by a gatekeeper and locked doors before selective entry into minuscule chambers. These are the domains of local judges, invariably biased towards your legally represented opponent. They will not only forbid criminality to be mentioned, but also will often deny acceptance of vital evidence. You see, fraud and other criminality is governed by primary law, and, as I have mentioned previously, the name of the game in the civil courts is to rely upon case law, ping-ponged about through the adversarial system. Not only does it ratchet up enormous and mostly unnecessary fees, but the judge has freedom to make decisions and orders mainly based upon precedents presented by the judicial system itself. A past precedent, incidentally, can be overturned by this new judge, and so it goes on. The rule of law is a forgotten concept. Once caught, passage upwards by appeal, usually refused, is pretty well doomed to failure, because further judges close ranks on you. Cronyism is in the air. You see, already there is an ongoing purpose hidden from you. So, we start at a complete discount when criminality is ignored. The reason given is that the proof required for conviction is much less in the civil courts. Any fool most of the time can recognise crime, not least fraud. But who was it that formed these courts? All sorts of barriers are put forward by the judicial system to avoid the first and clear principles in gaining justice. As we have seen, truth, evidence, the bleeding obvious are early casualties. The judicial system claims that investigation and fraud hearings take too long and are complicated. But who makes them that way? And now, just to make sure of total failure, juries have been dispensed with in virtually all cases. A single judge pronounces. But let us say that the litigant possesses a lot of savvy of the law, and he or she goes directly to the High Court. This is usually done when the case is so clear and straightforward. But one's opponent is one of the untouchables, i.e. the banks. This presents no fear or problem to the bank or to the single judge. They use the usual ploy of presenting you with an injunction, where the elements of your action are not to be mentioned, or for you to bring your case forward at all. You are bombarded by their solicitors with mountains of so-called evidence and threats of equally piled high costs. As countless people have found, the opposing solicitors and barristers present some brazen lies to the court, which, when challenged for a sworn affidavit, are ignored by the judge. And refusal for sworn evidence, which would lead to perjury. Lying is deceit, and in itself is contempt of court. The basis of trust in any justice must have its foundation in establishing the truth. The backbone of honesty is truth no less. In addition, the opposition then demand enormous security costs, i.e. £25,000, to be paid into court immediately to cover their expected costs. The judges agree. Then, if you can afford it, surprising because you've been cleaned out already through fraud, you are left with a decision too far. If you withdraw, you're faced with enormous counterclaim costs, leading to enthusiastic bankruptcy, no less from the judge. If you go forward, well, what do you think? In my next video, I'm going to cover the path in trying to get criminal offenders convicted. Of course, where criminality proof has been laid before the civil court, then the least that could happen and should happen is for the court to make a declaration of such, to be followed up to the criminal courts. But no, we wonder why. More will be revealed. I'm afraid it does not get any better for justice. But thank you for watching, and I will see you again soon.